At ease, brothers. I want to say this. If you say to yourself, in your mind that at some point in time, you're going to make some kind of drastic change in life, it could be, I'm going to just start diving into my spirituality, or I'm going to dive into opening a business, or I'm going to dive into getting healthier, or whatever sector of life it is, right? May I suggest that you make that time right now? May I suggest that you make that time right now, man, because I'm telling you, the world is doing a certain thing. And I know I always say, man, the world is doing a certain thing, but what it's actually doing is it's correcting. The world is correcting. And I'm talking about going back to January 2020, when the 19 hit and the world just froze up and the whole planet did a certain thing and everybody started moving in fear, in chaos and all this stuff. Now it's like just by default, just by the laws of the universe, the world is correcting itself, which means that pretty much anything you put your true intention in, anything that you move in the right manner in, it is going to thrive, because the whole world is correcting itself. It's like riding that wave of the stock market. You know what I'm saying? It's just like hopping on at the right time, and whatever you put in, whether it's $1 or whether it's $1 million. You just riding that wave on up because just what the market is doing. The world is correcting right now. But the thing is, man, to take advantage of this, man, you have to be one that walks in your authority. You have to be a man that walks in his authority. That says a lot, man. That means that you have to have spent some time, looking into yourself, finding yourself, and moving in the correct manner. You have to walk in your authority. But what does that mean, soul? I'll tell you what it means for me, man. First off, it means that a man must trust his intuition. You must learn to hear that voice. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about when you cut the TV off, when you cut all these things off, that voice that you hear inside, that voice of correction, that voice of direction, that voice of influence, that voice of guidance. You have to learn to trust that voice. You have to learn to connect to that voice, plug into that voice, and walk on it, stand on it at all times. That has to be your foundation, man. I'm gonna say this: you can't move in a certain manner without a foundation. And to be honest, when you look at people that operate in this world, most people don't have a foundation. They don't. That's why they move so willy-nilly. That's why the smallest things throws them off center. They have nothing really solid they're standing on, man. And there are a million verses in the Bible or Quran or other just inspirational books that I could quote something from. But y'all already know you have to have a foundation. So you have to trust that you have to trust that intuition, man. Trust that voice. You have to be able to observe and feel the nudges also. Like when you've been thinking a certain thing, man, and now you're seeing indicators, you're seeing quote unquote signs of moves you should make, decisions you should make, things you should partake in. When you're seeing the same type, I don't know whether it's advertisement, whether you're hearing over here people talk about certain career fields or just certain nudges. When you hear that, man, you have to have the confidence to act in it. That's walking in your authority. Because everybody gets the nudges. Everybody gets them. But very few people have a foundation to stand on and can trust those nudges. You gotta learn to trust, man. Bottom line is you gotta learn to trust. If you want to ride this wave and come on out of this thing, man, you have to learn how to trust. It's a must, man. And trusting is also connected to understanding your relationship to the world. And what I mean by that is I can't help but think about brother Santiago in The Alchemist. When the brother found himself in a dilemma, and he was out in the desert, and he was He was seeing the birds and he was, noticing, the elements of the world and noticed his connection, his oneness with it. A lot of y'all don't understand what I'm talking about, man. I'll say this. When I'm out in nature, like when I'm out walking a trail, I'm out doing some hiking, I'm literally connected to everything. You know what I'm saying? All the animals, all the trees, I'm actually one with them. For example, if I was sitting here in the house, man, and I saw a snake crawl through the house, I would probably react a certain way. I'd probably be looking for something, man, to take it out and do all this stuff. But when I'm in nature and I see snakes and I see certain animals, I become one with it. And I understand that it's a relationship taking place. It's an experience. I know it sounds kind of corny or cheesy, brother, but some of y'all understand what I'm talking about. I can hear nature. I'm becoming one with the elements. You know what I'm saying? That's when you know you're walking in your authority, man. You're walking in your authority, man, when you can become one with all things on the planet, brothers. So the main thing is trusting and becoming one with it. That's how you know you're walking in your authority, man. The second thing is you have to be, and I say you have to be, but it's not even a have to be because it's something you can't contain. You have to have the desire to be one that serves in whatever capacity. I don't care if you're in a pulpit. I don't care if you're writing. I don't care if you want to go and teach kids at the school. I don't care if you want to paint pictures. I don't care if you want to do landscaping. I don't care if you want to build homes. Like in some way, shape, form, or fashion, you just have this desire to serve. And when I say serve, I'm not just talking about doing a job. I'm talking about that thing that you stand on, that source that you plugged into. It's coming through you, and you're serving through that. You're serving through that. I got a partner of mine, man, lives in I think he lives in Florida, brother in the circle, man, and lives in Georgia, and he has a landscaping company, man, and he's saying he always talks about, man, when he's doing his work, he's doing a good job. All he's doing, of course, he's doing that work. Brother Descartes is his name. He's doing that work, but his essence is pouring out of him. So when he's doing that work, he's still spilling his spill. He's still pouring his God energy into everything around him. He said, and people sense it. People sense that energy. So that's what I'm talking about, man. You to walk in your authority, man, you become a servant. You become a servant. It's not so much it's chest pumping and, hey, look at thee, I'm holier than thou when everybody's below me. It's like, you know what, man? How can I serve you, brothers? It's a different energy when you walk in that authority. You don't have to pump your chest. Your essence speaks for you. Your energy precedes you, man. It's time for brothers to move like that. And when I say serve, man, when I say it's like default, it's not something optional, because once you start inhaling this light, once you start moving in a certain energy and become a beacon, you can't contain it. You can't contain it, man. It's almost like taking a bottle of Sprite or Coke and just shaking it up. It's like that thing is just getting tighter and tighter. Where as soon as you just crack the lid on that sunbuck, but it's all over the place. That's how your energy is going to be. When somebody wants to talk to me, man, if I'm chilling, if they call me on the phone, or I'm out talking, and they want to talk about some kind of spiritual enlightenment or anything associated with bettering ourselves, but as soon as I crack that top, it's over. We talking to the sun go down. I can't contain it. Man. So whatever it is you're into, when you're standing on that solid foundation, man, I'm telling you, whatever you're into, man, you need to be it needs to be so much of a part of you that you can't even contain it, brothers. You can't even contain it, man. That's how you serve. That's how we serve, man. Let me be clear on what I mean when I say walk in your authority. I'm talking about, like, you're a man that finally refuses to walk in fear. You finally refuse to move like common men. You finally refuse to be subject to what comes over the airwaves. You just move in your own energy. And understand in other words, you finally understand who you are. You finally understand on what image you're made in. You know what I'm saying? It's just walking in a certain energy. It's walking in a knowing. It's time that you start walking in a knowing, man. And to be honest, once you start doing it, you start to understand that all the time you spent not walking in that you wasn't even living. You wasn't even living, man. So again, to walk in that authority, the last one is to walk in your authenticity. That's huge, man. That's one thing that you don't even see in mankind anymore. Very few people are authentic to their true self. And what I mean by that is very few people are able to live their lives without conforming, without every decision they make being based off the world's approval method or what the world expects. Once you can walk in your own authority, man, and really it's just being true to self and walking in full transparency. That's the thing. Most people aren't transparent. Most people want to put a facade out there or live behind some illusion instead of just being who they are. It's a much peaceful place.